Tomorrow, Canadians go to the polls to elect a new federal government. Before we cast our ballots, we need to set aside a few moments to dream about the goals we would like to set for the new government to make our Canada the best nation that it can be, for tomorrow and all the tomorrows to come. When we look back at elections past, it's interesting to remember the priorities we had in those different times, the expectations we held for the future, and we see how no one predicted the events of the years that followed, and those events changed the attitudes and the expectations of Canadians. Those of us who can remember the Vietnam War know how it changed attitudes to government and protests, how a fallen wall in Germany brought unity and freedom to millions, how 9/11 changed our neighbors' trust of other nations, and how COVID changed rights and responsibilities at home and destroyed economies worldwide. Since we will never know what's coming, we must rely on finding the leaders with the moral fortitude and backbone necessary to stand up for that which is right and resist the temptations that come to all those in power, to believe their own press and lose their humanity and humility. What kind of men and women do we want to lead us in each riding and in the House of Commons? What virtues are necessary? What foibles can be forgiven? What background and experience do we want and need? Is it the professional politician or the activist, or the one who wants to share the lessons of the marketplace? Is it the warrior or the philosopher? Is it the caregiver or the jurist? Do they campaign on law and order or reduction of prison sentences? Do they want to assume more control or return some power to the people? Do they trust you? Do you trust them? And after we've dreamed of the type of politician we're looking for, the strengths we need and the dreams we share, then we look at the party's platforms and the promises and decide who we most trust to deliver what is needed. Canada is the country in which I intend to grow old, but it's also the country where, hopefully, our grandchildren will also want to grow old. So how do we vote to give this great land its best chance? We all have our ideas and priorities. For some, it's balancing the books, or, for others, trusting them to balance themselves. Is it investment in education or investment in commerce that counts? Is it medical research or building the factories that produce the drugs that will create the jobs and the opportunities that we need? Is it how we've treated our allies or our enemies in the past and how we will do it in the future that needs to be addressed? Can we spend our way out of recessions, or will taxation provide the needed dollars? Or do we just trust capitalism to triumph? What do we want or expect from our leaders and our candidates? So many sound as if they were reading lines dreamed up in some back room and that repeating them endlessly will give them some meaning. Do we want someone with star power or humility or charisma, a professional politician or the outsider to represent us? What virtues are we seeking in those for whom we vote? How high is honesty on your list? And how do we know if the person seeking our vote is trustworthy? What about inspiration? Do we want a leader who leaves a lump in the throat and the desire to leap to our feet and follow their cause? Do we want someone to admire from afar, or someone with whom we'd enjoy sharing a beer? Is it retaliation, retribution, or reconciliation that is needed? Do policies or personality matter? What if I like the candidate but distrust the party? What if I dislike my local candidate but want her party to win? What to do? And when the candidate becomes Prime Minister, how well will he do on the international scene? Will the leader demonstrate leadership and gain admiration for Canada? Or leave us as laughingstock, or even worse, not heard at all? So many questions to answer before leaving for the polling station. So, step one is to come up with your standards and then to turn inward and to dream. to imagine a Canada that embodies one's own values and dreams, a Canada that we can all work towards creating. Whether for the environment, for world peace, for equality among peoples and sexes, for faith that loves rather than hates, for a nation that works together, that the world will be a better place, not only for our own peoples, but that the world may look to us as a nation of dreams for all, dreams that together we can accomplish. Clearly, it is our responsibility as a citizen to participate in this most personal and positive aspect of democracy, a right denied to so many in this world. But it's not just as a Canadian that you vote tomorrow. After all, you vote as a product of your environment, of the values with which you were raised, the education you received, the books you read, your occupation, whether entrepreneur, employee, or civil servant, the friends you have had over the years, and all the other influences that color the decisions that we make. Participating in democracy is also our responsibility as Christians. Remember, Christ said it best when he was asked whether it was lawful for Jews to pay taxes to Caesar. And Jesus responded, "Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God render the things that are God's." This is considered a summary of the relationship between Christianity, secular government, and society. It also speaks to the responsibility of Christians to submit to lawful government and the responsibility to pay taxes and support the social structure that sees roads built and clean water and taps and police protecting the citizenry and caring for those unable to care sufficiently for themselves. When we enjoy the advantages of the state, we must also participate fully in its governance, that we may render unto both civil and religious authority their just dues. But we bring to our life and our decisions and our dreams the dream of our God, where all love him and each other and live in peace and harmony, and where all are cared for and complete. While we speak of the separation of religion and state, we mean that we do not impose our faith on all who abide in Canada, and the laws of the land are not those of any religion's edicts. That doesn't mean that as individuals we don't bring the teachings of our faith to the political arena. Now, admittedly, some fear the influence of the priests, the pastors, the imams, the rabbis, and swami when they deliver sermons supporting a candidate or a party. I tend to share those fears. I am not going to tell you how to vote, but I also worry about those who speak to communities in the language of a homeland that did not have our freedoms or responsibilities, and on election day they seek to deliver the vote of their followers as a gift to some political master. But I fear also those who vote because that is the way their parents voted, or because it's opposed to the way their parents voted. I fear those who prefer orange over blue or red over green as they choose their candidate from the color of the campaign signs. The reality is that what I fear is the mindless vote, just as I fear the person who does not vote. For Canada to realize its potential, it must depend on thoughtful people, weighing and measuring and dreaming, and then doing the simple act of marking a ballot. I do trust that those of you who take the time to listen to my weekly missives on a variety of topics, designed to engage one in some thoughts of how we go about living our lives, are also those who dream of a wondrous future and see democracy as the best way we can go forth to do our bit to ensure that future. So, when you head out to do your bit for democracy tomorrow, take your dreams and your faith with you as you mark your X on that ballot. Weigh your choices and the candidates and the policies of those candidates. See how well they share your dreams. And then, with fingers crossed and hope, you trust that they will follow through and represent you truly in the years of recovery, or not, that lie ahead. May God bless us and bless Canada as we go about this task in His name. And so may your dreams become reality. Amen. Election Day 2021, the 20th day of September. That's tomorrow. This is a most important obligation and duty that is too often taken too lightly. Please do not say it's only one vote. It doesn't count. It doesn't matter. It does. And you do. And you must. Please.